Good evening, everybody.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to the Highgate Selectboard meeting for April 18th, 2024. First order of business, pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, first tonight, public comments. Here we got a few, and Sue will start off as usual.
One quick question, and I have been asked by quite a few hundred residents. The house in the park, has the taxes ever been paid on that house?
Yes.
Yes, okay, that answers, because I've had that question addressed to me.
It's in foreclosure, so the bank pays.
Okay, I'm just asking this, I've had people asking me. Second question, we had a little instance. Who owns by the Mighty Fine Restaurant, that land next to Mighty Fine Restaurant?
Kevin Lothian.
Okay,
Kevin who?
Kevin Lothian.
okay. 2 weeks ago, I saw a lot of smoke, and I went by, and the trucks were there. In the afternoon, the smoke was getting heavier, and nobody was around, nobody. And the flames were coming right up. I just want to let you know, because if the wind came up that night, it would have been bad. And the smoke was going on Monument Road, and it was pretty heavy.
I do know that went a little crazy on social media, and
Yes, so you know
they did
that.
have a burn permit.
Okay, I'm just asking, I was afraid of it catching, and if the wind came up, because it was coming on my road pretty heavy.
And it was just brush.
Yeah, I
People
know
were
it was
saying
just brush.
It was plastic, it was this, it was that, it was.
No, I didn't say, I just knew it was brush, but my concern was nobody was around.
Obviously, he's my brother,
Yeah, okay.
full disclosure.
Yeah.
Ironically, I'm the fire commissioner. Yes, I got a phone call. Yes, he had a permit. And
Okay.
yes, the public has the right to report that to the fire department.
Okay, I was just.
I will do this now rather than later. The fire department asked me to give this message out.
Okay,
Even though you are permitted to burn, because it's that time of year, everybody's cleaning up, you have a permit, it's legal. If someone calls it as a nuisance, the fire department must respond and take care of the problem accordingly.
okay,
And don't shoot the messenger, because the fire department's doing their job.
yeah.
So in that situation,
Mhm.
you should have called if it was something that you were afraid of. You should call the fire department.
That's why I'm asking it now.
That's what the process is. You call the fire department, they go, they'll put it out.
Because I've never had to deal with something like this before, and that's why I'm asking.
No, no matter what it is. It's called a nuisance burn, although it's completely legal, 100% natural wood, that's the process.
No
Well,
problem.
probably not the fire department, but maybe 911.
We're gonna call the 911, sorry, thank you,
Yeah,
Sharon. Call 911, not
There's
fire.
Just-
nobody to answer.
Thank you, yeah. Call the fire department, you
There
don't
was
get an answer,
somebody there in
911.
the afternoon, there was nobody around, and it was going pretty well, and it's like, whoa, this isn't good.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Thank you, my brother.
I thought it was your brother, but I wasn't sure.
Full disclosure.
I also got the call as health officer and responded to David DeSorcy, who is our fire warden, and he indicated the permit was in process and it was all legal run, so.
Okay, that's fine.
And to top on that, one day I was driving home, I saw the smoke, it was in Swanton actually when I saw it. Just had me going by that way, Gary, the fire chief, was there with a truck, was over there talking to whoever was, I don't think it was your brother, I think it was somebody else who was there. Contractor doing the burn. But obviously they're not done with it yet because the rain put it out, so it's probably gonna be a little more smoke before it's all said and done.
It just, somebody was there in the morning and in the afternoon, nobody was there, and it was good, and it kind of, it's like, okay, this is not good. Okay, thank you.
Anything else for public comment? Yes, ma'am.
I know you guys are gonna touch base on it, in a little bit, according to the,
ATV.
but I sent you all emails, thank you Sharon for getting back to me. What I didn't tell you in the email was I sat there for a full minute and a half before I even thought about taking my phone out of my purse to record them. And what I couldn't do is take a video while I was driving of them popping wheelies with cars coming at them. Now, these young gentlemen, I've gone to their parents before, last year, because we had the same issue. And these two young men really don't care, they don't respect people, they don't respect rules, and I'm really afraid that somebody's gonna get hurt. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna be them that gets hurt, but it's gonna be the driver that gets penalized. And, you know, like I said in my email, I pay my taxes, I register my car, I insure my car, you know, I abide by the law. But how are we as a town enforcing that they're not registered? And they're not abiding by the laws? I mean, it takes a bad apple to spoil it for everybody. And there are very, very respectful ATV riders out there who are going up and down the road respectfully. I wave to them when I see them. But these kids are dangerous. I mean, Sunday afternoon, I was sitting outside on my front porch, and one who's got his foot wrapped around the other one's steering wheel because the second one broke down, and he's driving it up the road like that. You know, I'm really concerned. Somebody's gonna get hurt.
What road was that on?
Some frontage
It
road,
was on
and,
Frontage Road.
you know, they just sit there and they'll do donuts at the four corners. They don't care. It was right just before Tercel Boulevard that they were doing donuts in the road that stopped traffic.
Right by the sand pits.
Yeah.
Yep.
And these kids just, I mean, they're speeding. We have a speed limit on that road that cars can't go over 35 in certain spots, but these guys are flying.
I've been witness to that myself. In fact, at a meeting on Monday that we had, I followed one from Shipyard Road to Carter Hill Road. Same thing, got it on video.
Yeah.
So I
It's
feel your
probably
pain.
the same kid.
It was a different ATV, but not registered, not driving, I'd say politely, I would say. Going as fast as I could, as loud as I could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and I mean, it's all hours of the night. I hate when school vacations happen because these parents don't control their kids at all. And next week is school vacation, so we're ready for the 24/7 of the spin-outs and everything else.
So I guess all we do is reiterate that ATV use on public roads, especially the state roads and the town roads, is still illegal. We've passed or authorized VASA to use the trails up until, was it June or whatever, that we make a decision to opening up to the town. This is where people like you come in, and I encourage more people to come in and talk. If you're having issues with ATVs, we need to know, and we need to know where, so we can get police to go to that area and do some
Well,
enforcement.
If you could get law enforcement to sit there next week, I mean, I don't know what good it's gonna do because they don't chase them. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're
these
not.
Well,
kids are-
bottom line, law enforcement will not chase, and
Right.
zero chase pursuit. The only way we're gonna get to these individuals is they have to control themselves. The other ATV wearers have to talk to them.
And that's what I,
But you said the magic word, the parents.
yeah.
You're gonna have kids that are gonna do this, it's spring of the year's fresh, a whole bunch of stupid is falling out, and they're gonna do it on an ATV. And there's no way, unfortunately, we can really control that. We talked to law enforcement, and St. Albans did do well, because they started just talking to them a little bit. And when we signed a new contract with the sheriff, I hope that we're gonna sit down with him and ask them if, when you see him gassing up at the gas station with the two-stroke, with the modified exhaust, just have a talk with him. You're not gonna do anything, just talk to him. And just ask him out, you know, try to get a relationship, some kind of respect. I understand your frustration, and some have thought that because we opened up the roads for the VASA, that this has really opened up a can of worms. In my opinion, that's crazy, it's foolish. Those people that are gonna follow the rules, they're gonna pay registration, they're gonna be on VASA, they're gonna wear the helmets, those are the people being punished because of kids like this. And to me, that's unfair.
It is unfair. you
And
know.
so, we're hoping that by opening the roads up, if anything, will help police some of this stuff. Because maybe some of these parents will have friends that are driving legal that will talk to their parents, say, hey, can you just tone it down a little bit? We really hope that that's where it's gonna go. I don't know, we haven't passed anything yet as far as townwide, you know, but we do appreciate people bringing it up to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you can get footage and know who they are, submit that information to St. Albans PD. There's still our
Or the
contracted they're a contracted service currently. I know they used to, I can vouch for it, go to the house and,
That's the only way we're gonna
ticket
slow
and fine, and parents might not discipline until it's actually coming out of their pocketbook, and some still may not, but.
It's worth a try.
Or if the machine gets impounded. That seems to be where it seems to work with the guys like you filmed the other day.
I mean, I know that kids do silly things and, you know, bottom line, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, but I don't wanna see a parent burying a child because they don't wanna discipline the kid.
Couldn't agree more.
They're probably the same ones I saw last week coming from the Champlain Farms, shooting right across down the furniture on his back wheel. And there was a Swan police car sitting right there by the interstate, he just looked and just went towards Swan, he didn't even bother going toward him, so. Like I said, they can't chase.
No. And you know,
Nor do we want them to.
No, no,
yeah, chasing isn't gonna solve anything.
because it has been a few accidents.
All that does is just gets the adrenaline pumped up more.
It gets madder.
Now, they don't mad, it turns into a game, there's no sense of putting quarters in a video game if you don't need to, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for the video.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, like I said, I sat there for a minute and a half before I thought, you know what, this is stupid. They're not moving, they're just gonna sit here and do burnout. And so I got my purse and got my phone out, and once they realized that I had my phone out, is when they stopped and took off. But then there was another car coming at me, and they're up, standing up, doing their wheelie, and it was like, oh my God, they're gonna hit them.
Here we go. Anybody else for ATV comments? Okay. Anybody else
So,
for? Good. Yeah.
Is the board going to allow access to fuel off the Vassar Trail?
Do we don't have the maps right now to show everybody, do we?
A minimum of 2.5 miles. It seems-
Yeah, it's quite a ways. So, the map would really help. It's still in an email from last week, right?
Behind you.
They got a map right behind you, they won.
No, she highlighted a map for the ATVs.
I gave them moments to show Sam.
It's 3 miles.
Ben, have you seen the map? Here we go. Got it right here. So it would be where, yeah, Compana and Parent come together and then come southbound on St. Armand to Highgate Center and then back. So, what do you guys say is about 2.5 miles?
It's 3 miles to the roll road from the services.
And this would be just for the VASA registered folks is all we're talking about there. Yeah. We'll go down the table here. The dots.
I think we should get the landowners along the way
Which gas
there, so
station
then
is
that's
it?
where we open it up.
I've got the map right here, Vern, if you want it.
Yeah, we're looking at it up here.
Okay.
So you want to query the landowners first that are along the road?
Yeah, I think that would be proper.
Okay, we did put this out for public comment, I think,
Several times.
several times, and none of them was showing up. But that was why we put it out, so.
Well, I think that the whole point of why I've been so favor of opening up these roads to the ATVs who want to do it legal is to help our local businesses. So I'm 100% in favor of it.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Now here's a question.
Yep.
If they're not registered and they're on the Vasa Trail,
Vassar Police will take care of that.
that was my question. Thank you.
Todd?
If I was sitting in one of your chairs, I would put it as only down St. Armand
Yeah.
to the gas stations and not down Tart to Parent, Tart to Gore, because then you're just that much farther, that many more opportunities for negative things to happen.
Yeah, that's all we're proposing, just that one road, down, straight back, nothing else. It's highlighted, and Vassett's aware of this too, so. Anybody else? Alright, I'm in favor for Vassett, just to use that, but, for anybody that's not Vassett, it should be on there anyway, so, just like you said. So, can I get a motion to approve Vassett to use Sand Creek Road to go back and forth to
I'll
the
make that
center?
motion.
I'll second.
All those who say aye?
Aye.
Awesome, thank you. School budget questions. So I asked Sharon to reach out to the Missisquoi Valley School District because we got the second vote coming up here at the end of the month, April 30th. Obviously a hot topic with property taxes right now, how high they're gonna end up being. A little bit less from what I heard today, down from 20 to about 15 on the low side. So I'm assuming some new spaces here I haven't seen before. Hello?
Julie Reginald, Superintendent.
Hello,
I have
Julie.
with me Lauren McAllister, Business Official, and
I'm Reddick, actually Vice Chair for the
Awesome.
VSD School Board, so, and Highgate resident.
Thank you for coming in.
Questions, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Just off the spaghetti dinner at Highgate, so.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Oh, we met, yeah, so we just talked about it, we missed it. We started early, so yeah, we did all miss it. So I guess the question is, can you explain, I guess, sales pitch to try and sell what the way you want the vote to go, obviously.
I mean, so, obviously, we want the vote to pass. I mean, I think the biggest thing that, we're trying to get out to the community is that there's a lot of sentiment right now throughout the state that education spending is too high. And I feel like that's really reverberated even into our district. But there's just some big differences here, right? Like, so we are on the lower end in terms of spending. We've tried to provide a lot of information for residents to see that, you know, if any of the metrics that you look at, if it's spending per student, we're on the lower end. The only thing that we're not is actually our MBU has actually moved up quite a bit in what they're doing. But then the bottom line, people always ask, well, how does it affect my taxes? And where's the money going? And so we tried to really put the information out there. And how it affects the taxes, yeah. So we're actually contributing to a slight reduction in the taxes. And this is our original budget down, I think the information is there. It's
down $1,035,000.
from the overall budget, but then what that does to the taxes that the board contributes to, it's a reduction. And I think a lot of I feel like, because I've been out in the community quite a bit, not necessarily here, but especially in Swanton, that there's just this feeling that if I keep voting no to the budget, I'm somehow going to just take this giant chunk off the taxes, and it's not true. The CLA and all the state things that the states are doing is what's contributing to the majority of any increase, not our budget. And I'm just actually gonna be blunt, because it's been a long couple weeks.
Yeah.
If the budget doesn't pass, by the time we get to June, July, we're looking at 85% of last year's budget. And that would be detrimental to the community. We have 500 employees that we employ in the district, teachers, custodians, workers, contractors that we support in the local community, and we'd have to cut positions. And right now we don't want to, we're trying to maintain what we're providing to kids. So we're really just trying to get that message out because there's all sorts of things that would suffer. Transportation would suffer, the ability to provide like after school programs, like all these things that like community members, even the ones who are, I think a lot of times against the budget, they rely on, are gonna start to be impacted. So, you know, the board, I've been on the board a couple of years now, we take the time to go line by line with everything that we're doing, right? We're not frivolous, we're like trying to be very fiscally conservative with the money. Yes, there was an increase last year, about $4 or $5 million from last year, but I mean, what thing right now hasn't cost more than last year, right? Everything's gone up, and we're subject to those same pressures. So our fuel, our food, our gas, the Medicare bills that we have to pay for teachers and stuff, these are things that we don't have control over. And so we're just maintaining what we're able to do, and I think as a district, we're actually try to make the most of it and push really hard. So, we're really trying to get the message out right now that, like, this is important. Like, before we had maybe a slight cushion, there's a bunch of stuff that was in play before that is no longer, with Act 127 and all that, but we're at that point that the community members and parents need to get out and support this. Because if not, the community will all be impacted by this if it doesn't pass. And I'm not trying to be dire, but I think the message just has to be said plainly of where it's at. And all the information is out there. Our website has the full budget information. We provide it constantly online. There's links to anything you want to know, and it's not perfect, right? There's things that we constantly work on. The board tries to, whenever there's issues that we feel is having, or different, things we could cut or whatever, we go over it. So right now, overall, I just think it's important that people just understand that it's a solid budget. It's quite conservative. We've done hard to make sure that we're not going to increase the taxes that we contribute to, and hopefully people could just go out and support them, because there are some who will not support it no matter what we would do. And so that's kind of the message that I wanted to just kind of put out there. And I'll take any questions anybody has.
The line by line thing, we do that here, and I'm sorry, I'm not attending your meetings. I work like everybody else, and I barely make this one.
They're on the website.
I know they're on the website.
Anytime you want.
So, but I'm a big talk radio listener. I get a lot of information from the people that talk on AM 620 in the morning, and this has been the topic for the last 3 weeks, school budgets every single day, which is great. It's got me very much more educated on it. I understand the CLA, I understand it. What was the act last year that where you could add to 5% to the budget?
Yeah, so what the legislator did last year is they came out with Act 127, which was, and I might let the business manager correct me, but it was intended to sort of provide a buffer between a lot of the funding that came from COVID and ESSER funding, and sort of provide this bridge, where if you increase your budget up to 5%, anything over 5%, then the state would compensate you for it, right? Am I saying that correctly? Okay, I'll let
Okay, sure. I mean, the 5% is gone anyway. It didn't work. That's the part of the law that didn't work. The intention of the law was to allow to force the high spending districts in the state to come down and allow the low spending districts like MVSD to start to rise up without the communities of Highgate, Franklin, and Swanton having to pay for that directly. It would be paid by the state education fund, and be shared across the state. And slowly over time, they were hoping that it would go like this and level out. There were a lot of problems with that, the 5% cap. There were ways to manipulate that. People weren't doing it I don't think, to be bad people. The law was written in a way that it was like, well, hey, if our school can benefit, maybe it should benefit. But that's the intent of the law. The reason our tax rate is going down right now instead of up, even though there's a significant increase to the net ed spending, is because of Act 127 has allowed that. They wanted us to be able to reach a higher level of equity with other schools that have had more resources for 30 years without that full burden being on MVSD. So our tax rate's going down, spending is slightly up, but it's being spread out across the state, if that makes sense. So it provided an opportunity, quite frankly, to Highgate, Swanton, Franklin, and other low-spending school districts.
The rhetoric is what's a challenge across the state, because there's a real concerted effort. You're hearing it on the radio every day. And why Rennick over here looks so tired is because when people just keep saying, but they're repeating what they're hearing at the state level, and that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is you have the bottom quarter of spending in the state, and we're coming, and there's always more to do, and that's all we think about, but our kids are doing better all the time, and we're getting closer or at state average, in some places we're above, and we have to keep working that. But that's the message that we want our voters to hear, and we have reduced staff over time. We always think about, okay, we don't need this, but boy, we need this thing over here. We've made a lot of shifts, and we really are trying to pay our teachers well, And, I mean, honestly, the way the health insurance is increasing, I think people might get a raise next year but not see it, right? Like, so those are the things that we worry about. We're always playing catch up, but we're still trying to be responsible, attract the best teachers, keep our best teachers, and yet at a rate that our community can afford. And we all live here, like there's, you know, this is our community too. And so it's important to us, but it is hard when people are, you know, making things up or saying things that aren't quite reflecting what we're trying to do here. It's tough.
Just one of the things I hear on the radio, and I've heard from other folks here, is the administrative side of the school budgets is really high, that we have too many administrators and not enough teachers kind of thing.
That's really
Is
odd.
that-
That's not true at all.
Okay, so how does our district stand with that?
Well,
That's
you know,
not right.
one of the things we did after the budget didn't pass is we sent out a survey and somebody made that comment and they listed all these administrators and they weren't even in our school district. They were talking about another school district. So there's a lot of misconception. Highgate has one principal and a professional that supports them, but not a principal. MVU has two principals. And a special ed building administrator that's really busy going to every IEP meeting and scheduling all the folks. You know, we have people that are professionals that aren't teachers, right? We have people that have to support kids who are blowing out or that have to, you know, have meetings with kids who have challenges, but they're not teachers. We have social workers, not tons, we have one. You know, but we put those resources where we have the needs, you know, we have kids who have needs and we have to address them. We want our schools, our kids to be learning in school, not seeing things blow up. So we do have positions like that, but we have a business manager and a special ed director and somebody who does early childhood as well and, you know, a curriculum director. We don't have extra administrative positions. Swanton has 635 kids and one principal and one assistant.
So I'll put it like this. So before I was on the school board, right, and I was just a community member, if I would have been asked that question, I'd have been like, yeah, maybe they have too much staff and not enough teachers. After sitting every other week and looking at how it takes to educate kids, and understanding whether it's 40 or 44 million, right? Like any company, any business, there's a lot of small business owners right here, right? You manage a staff of, let's say, 6 or 10 or 20. How much work is that, right? Who's doing the books? Who's feeding them? Who's making sure they can drive, lodging, fuel, gas, right? So now we have 2,000 students and 500 staff, and our administrative team is maybe 15 people. Plus a principal in each school, and then all the others. So, you know, it's a lot to do. And I would not say in any capacity that they're overstaffed. In fact, I think they're understaffed for what we're asking them to do. So, and you know, Ty, if you have something you want to add, please add, because like, I'm not trying to exaggerate. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and I think that, you know, if I could wave a magic wand, I think we should try to provide more staff, but we can't support it. We can only support what we support. So people are gonna feel that way, and like that's okay. I think everyone is absolutely entitled to feel how they want to feel, whatever that is. But it goes hand in hand with a lot of things that I've been hearing. Actually, not really in Highgate too much, but a lot of things I've been hearing is things like they could do with the same budget that they had 5 years ago, and I'm like, well, that's not gonna work. You know, like sentiments like that. Like it's just, or something that comes out, and I've heard before is, well, if there's less students, why is there a higher budget?
But we don't have less students.
Right? And so that's something that's just a little bit of misinformation that we have less students when we don't.
Across Vermont we do, but in our districts, we are stable to growing. I mean, you all know Highgate's gonna grow anyway, right? So, but we haven't, I think we hit a lower point a number of years ago and we've been building back up, but it's been stable to growing. For sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
I can answer any questions from anyone about this.
So, I watched your video, Reddick. Sounds like all the cuts were in capital projects.
Pretty much, yes.
I'm not so happy about that being the choice of the board. I think there were some cuts in the regular budget that definitely could have been done for a one-year thing. I don't feel that every library in the district needs all new furniture that they have. Not in this budget currently, Laura,
Oh, okay.
but.
So I was gonna say, that's
No,
to me.
no, but I'm sure that, you know, furniture is in the budget, whether it be a classroom furniture.
Replacement cycle, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we
the
do it in
replacement
cycles, so
cycle,
it's
yes.
never, you know.
Yeah, and that's
You
actually,
know, maybe that communication director needed to be
so that's actually a great
cut.
question.
You know, I'm sure there's regular budget items that needed.
So I'll just say that here, right, because that's a great question. So I'm also on the finance committee. And when we went into this budget cycle, this was not a normal budget cycle, right? The legislator had put in place a lot of uncertainty into everything from the yield, everything to Act 127. So as we went into this seat, like, our original concept of what we were going to be doing and dealing with in September, because budgets are planned all year. We start in I start, you know, September, October, we start really talking about it and planning. So going into the fall and planning our budget with the way Act 27 was, with saying we have our normal growth that we need to just maintain, you know, with inflation and costs. And then we said, okay, maybe we have a little bit of room to be able to plan some of the capital projects that we need in this district. And so we put in place a plan to be able to work on things. And we're not saying fancy, we're not saying new, we're just saying maintaining and working on things from Highgate roof to Babcock windows to all sorts of projects that need to be done, to working on MVU the roof. We've been phasing that all the years, trying to stay cost effective with that. And so we had a plan. When the uncertainty started to happen with Act 127 and stuff like that, we looked at, okay, where are some areas maybe, if we have to, that we could maybe postpone some things, right? And so we already had that ready in case something like this was to happen. But being able to say what's going to really hurt our ability to operate versus what can we maybe slightly do without, taking $50,000 or $20,000 from like a staffing position that leaves us like a teacher short, or taking a couple $100,000 from a project that we can maybe just try to figure out down the road, that was the call, right? Because we're like, how can we try to reduce the tax burden on taxpayers, but not hinder our ability to operate and teach? And so that's why we made that decision. Because yes, we could, and we literally, there is a tape, if you go to either one of our meetings or the finance meetings, where we had this conversation. It was actually Don Collins brought it up, Megan brought it up and said, well, why don't we take from, because I want to see something taken from, you know, a library, I want to see something taken from a teacher, I want to see a classroom, but like, the goal is to not impact students and not impact educating them. So we made the call to try to take as much as we could without hurting our ability to operate and our ability to try to maintain the standard that we're trying to give the community. So it's a great question, it made sense, and we had this debate, you know, so I'm glad you brought that up.
I also want to point out that, you know, like that communications person replaced my executive assistant because I decided to go without that, so that we would have somebody who could communicate with the community more, celebrate what our kids are doing, and I didn't need an executive assistant. So, you know, sometimes there's a new position, and it's almost always, and I ask all my principals, yeah, I love that you want that, what's gonna go? Get right.
I wasn't single enough.
No, but that's a great example of something that's visible, and I want you to know that I gave something up in order to have that, because the board wanted that as a goal, to communicate more. October 29th is our information meeting at 7 o'clock in View. April, what did I say?
October.
Please no.
Taxes.
Please no.
Taxes are due in October.
That's why it's so tight.
It's the other big date.
Hey, Vern.
Yes.
So with a lot of people I've talked to, I don't feel the concern is too many teachers. What I'm hearing is that people are unsure about what is being done in central office and how many employees are in central office that are not seeing students. So I think it would help you guys maybe more of what their job descriptions are and what they do on a day-to-day basis to educate people on what they're doing and why it's important that there are however many people are in central office not seeing students per se, not working with students. I think that's a big, and I can't think of a word I'm looking for, but that's what
It's
a
a
lot of people,
misunderstanding or confusion, yeah.
uninformed. And so if there's a way you guys could push more of a job description out of what people are actually doing in there and why those positions are so important, I think that might help.
Most of what, we have kind of two sides to our central office. There's the business side that, it takes a lot of people to pay people and it's not many people at all. One person pays the bills, one person pays the people, right? One person manages the grants and the food service and the federal money and and we have a really tight ship that does amazing work. And, we get audited and they tell us how beautifully we do and how we look after the public's money. So that's an important thing to know. And you have, we've got our after-school person who works in the back, and we have our, some of our early childhood people still have space there. Those people mostly are with kids. And then there's the secretary that manages all of the billing and the other private daycares, all of those pieces. And then you have your special ed administrator, and you have the curriculum director, and you have, me, and, it's not but these are people that work directly with teachers, directly with coaches, directly with principals. My work is not with kids that much anymore. I wish it were. I had the best morning with kids today in Swanton Elementary, but my work is directing principals and working with teachers, and most of our district administrators, that's what they're doing, working with teachers and helping problem solve. We have a lot of kids with a lot of needs, and they require teams that don't always get along well, and they have to work together and work through those issues and solve the problems for the students. And we have people who are really good at that. But we don't have we're not one of those districts with lots of extra positions. We don't. And I love our team, they're brilliant people, I'm impressed by them all the time.
I would just add, because I don't want to take over the.
Right.
the
No.
But, I would say, I would love this kind of turnout for a school board meeting. Right, I'll be real, I would love to sit here and answer every single question, and, because I'm in an elected position too. So, at some point, somebody can vote me out if they don't like what I do, and while I'll sit here and I'll staunchly, at this point, defend the need for being able to pass a working budget, you can ask superintendent or the business manager. The rest of the year, we'll go toe-to-toe on things that maybe I don't agree with, or I don't think would be good for the community, if that's my thought. Because I'm, just like you, I'm in a position to try to represent the community. I have 3 kids in the school system, and I have home in Highgate, and I have one in Swanton, right? And I work locally. So, it's not just everything's great and everything's rosy and they're doing the best. They're working very hard and they have a difficult job, but I have not always seen the community involvement except periodically just to vary everything's bad. We have meetings every other week. We rotate between the 3 towns and MVU. So we're in Franklin, we're in Highgate Elementary, we're in Swanton, and we'll sit there all day looking for feedback from the public. If you have issues, bring it to us. And then if they're valid or concerned, I've talked to Ty on the phone, I'll answer calls, right? If it makes sense to me, I'll push back, and they know it. So we want the involvement from the community, right? We do. I think there's a lot of things about Highgate that are really up and coming. We've got an airport coming, I've been Habitat Aviation. I'm also full-time military, right? So I work down at the F-35 base. So I'm very involved in I think the community should also just reach out. Like, you think there's too many admin positions? Okay, I will go and then I will ask and I'll say, let's see every position, does it make sense? Do we need another one? Do we need to cut it? Like, we'll have those tough conversations. It's just hard when you get to the final point where we've been deliberating about this budget for 6 months, and then you get one-off opinions like, oh, you shouldn't have this. Well, how many pieces have gone into this budget? $49 million. This is actually not a lot of money to run what we're trying to run. So it's like being able to have those kind of conversations right now, that I love it. I want to know. Like, my email's right there. I got a Facebook, Darnell, MBSC School Board. You can find me. You can email me. You have any issue, I will bring it up. Absolutely, absolutely.
He needs it.
I do. So, like, that's what I mean. Like, we're also here to represent the community and not fight against them. So, like, that's kind of the pitch I want to make. So, I would just support people to, if you want to support kids, if you want to support it, if you also want to have not a disaster going on in a couple months if we can't get one through, support the budget. Tell your friends, tell your workers, tell your family, get it through, and then guess what? In 1 year, we do this again. And at any point in time, any community member can come to a meeting, bring up things, and we will bring it up and try to make it better and solve it and answer the questions. So.
Yeah, you got a lot of people in this town that are retired or on fixed income, so when the taxes go up, it's hard for them to pay their property taxes and stuff, because the way they're talking about raising their property tax through the state is gonna make it hard. They're pushing people right out.
And I agree. I absolutely agree. Like I said, I don't want property taxes to go up. I'm looking at what part do we contribute to. Now, if I was in Montpelier, it'd be a different conversation, because now I'm responsible for a little bit more. So one day from there, then I'll have that conversation. But as far as what we do for the school board, like, we're not driving it up. And I think that's what we're trying to say right now. We're just doing the best with, like, what we can to keep things safe. So.
I agree with what Ryan says, because a lot of people don't realize what you guys do in the business. If you list the name, and I will agree with Ryan, write the names down, specifically what they do on each one, and I think that will open some people's eyes.
It is on their website. I was on it last night.
Because some people don't
Keep doing my
And
homework.
again, you can put so much information out there. People are gonna see what they want.
I do want to say
Exactly.
one thing about it though, because I think it's changed. I've been here doing this job for 12, 13 years now. One thing that Julie and I are both part of our professional organizations at a state level, and one of the things that we are constantly lobbying for is more support from the state. The state used to provide business offices, superintendents, business managers, with curriculum directors with a lot more support. I think that's slowly starting to change this year, but I have to tell you, in the last 5 years, we're supporting them. They're not supporting us. We are doing half of their jobs for them at the AOE, the Agency of Education. At least I can very 100% guarantee that that's what's happening. We are providing them with information that previously they were giving to us. It's working the backwards. So that is one of the major burdens that I've seen on a business office change since I've been here is we're steering the ship and we're providing so much information and data that they used to be giving to us, and we're oftentimes questioning, redoing things. So probably not saying that very well, but if you know a legislator, if you have any connections to the AOE or the legislation at all, that's one thing that needs to change, and I think the conversations are happening, but the state has got to put resources into the Agency of Education that can support finance, curriculum, special education. It's too important, and it's all falling, the burden's falling on your local business offices and administration.
Very insafely.
The only thing I'd like to say is, I don't know you, Rennick, personally met you tonight, Kyle.
Nice to meet you.
I'm very pleased to have someone like you representing us.
Yep.
I see your honesty, it rings out of you. I do very much appreciate that. I fully admit that I wasn't very well educated about this budget until more recently. Would definitely tell people to look at this if you wanted some really facts. I too was questioning the budget, but then when you start educating yourself to what is really going on, You guys are at the will of our legislature that's telling you what you've got to spend. And it's up to you to figure out how to get the money. It's the people up top that we keep electing who have these ideas that everyone belongs, should get something for free. And it's costing us all dearly. So I do hope that everyone votes, and I know I personally will support this vote.
Can I say one thing?
No.
If she had. Kyle, no,
I had a moment.
Okay. I would like to ask, if you have extras like this, they know I'm the messenger and I do a lot of people, they need more than that.
Here's my punch. The restaurants are going home with all the kids.
A mailer is going out
And a
to
mailer
every
is going to every home in our three towns.
I'm on the road this week, I see a lot of Swan Highgate people, I'm on the road I've been on the road for 47.5 years, and they know I'm the messenger. They have anything to message, they give me a pile.
Maybe I need your email or your phone number.
Happy to. Yeah, and yeah, we didn't have those we printed them on our photocopier and I folded them.
I will get them out in the next couple of days.
Yeah, that'd be great. And they are, and like I said, a mailer is going out to every home.
Yeah, because I
Similar
I just
information.
seen Swan and Highgate people for the next 3 days.
And there's a school board meeting on Tuesday at Swanton Elementary, and there's an informational meeting on Monday before the vote, and that's gonna be at MVU, and then the votes are gonna be in our local town.
And of course on Zoom, so if people are home eating dinner, you know.
What's your website if somebody wants to go on?
MVSDschools.org.
Okay.
And there's a lot of great information on our Facebook page now.
Yes.
It's so much better than it used to be. It's full of great things about kids, but also the financial information, the construction projects we're doing. So, and we're trying to really build that page, and every person that can help spread it.
The short
really make a
videos are
difference.
great.
And,
Yeah.
and again, the last thing I'll say is, again, as a representative of Highgate, not just now, but throughout the year, there's issues or concerns or things you'd like to see from the district or the school, like, let your board members know. Try to make myself as available as possible, so.
Is that meeting on the 29th at the library at MV?
Yes, it
You
is,
like it.
absolutely.
And we'll just be sitting.
Hopefully there's enough people that it has to be moved to the theater.
You've done that before, right now?
Well, thank you all very much
Thank
for
you very
coming.
much for inviting us, it's
And
really
encourage
appreciated.
everybody to get educated on the NVU school budget and vote appropriately on April 30th, after you're educated
You
on
see the same faces over and over and over.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
I need any help on Monday.
Next, we got Shelley, but she is out tonight, so I think Wendy is taking over Shelley's part of the meeting.
Yes, she provided me with the check warrants, and I believe it's in front of Vern, and she probably emailed it to you all before she got on the plane. That is all I have on behalf of Shelley.
Make a motion to accept the check warrants.
Second.
All those who say aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Are you gonna do the tax update or?
I don't have anything on that, other than no tax sale date yet.
Okay. Your turn.
Okay. You have 2 sets of minutes. You have April 4th and then your emergency executive session on the 15th.
Can I get a motion to accept the minutes for April 4th and emergency meeting this past Monday?
So moved.
Second.
All those who say aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. They touched on the school budget revote. We will be at the arena on April 5th in the lobby. Polls are open 7 to 7. I have had probably close to 125 people request absentees. I've gotten 40-something of them back. So that's good, and it's not too late to get them. If you know you're going to be out of town or your work schedule conflicts, it is always an option. So just reach out to me if you need to vote, ahead of the 30th. Just a couple updates. I have, Green Up bags arrived. Green Up Day is May 4th. We have bags available here in the lobby. There's some at the drop-off location and there's some at the library. If you fill bags, you can bring them here and leave them behind Public Works, or leave them roadside for pickup on Monday, May 6th. Household Hazardous Waste Day is Saturday, April 27th from 8 to 2 at the Sand Shed on Transfer Station Road. I've had quite a few calls on that. What is accepted, what isn't. I am directing everybody to Northwest Solid Waste District's website. They have very detailed information on what they will take. I do need to close the office at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, April 23rd. That is noticed. It's on the door. Shelley's on vacation and I also have somewhere to be, so I need to close a little early that day. Let's see. Painting. We're painting this room. Yay!
Okay.
I'm on year 14 here and it's never been painted. So we are painting it. It is starting Saturday, May 11th. The gentleman that's doing the work for us, it fell way under purchasing policy, was within our budget. So he is working another job, so he actually is going to be painting on Saturdays and evenings during the week. So we'll see how long that takes, but he's going to be doing the room and the hallway.
Okay.
I don't know yet. Shelley and I haven't started looking at that, and I want a color, but I don't know what it's going to be. Something to match our swanky new floors. I don't know.
The gray would be pretty.
I think the gray would look great,
I think the gray would look beautiful.
but we haven't really talked about it because she left. So
The gray would pick the floor.
we may need to relocate the select board meeting on May 16th because of this. I've already checked with Jess and the arena is available if we need it. I think we're gonna. So just so you know, we may need to move that meeting over there. And my last question for you is the lister's office. We've had a shift, we no longer have internal listers. We work with an outside assessor who's very limited time in the building. So that space, I've talked to Sharon, I've talked with Shelley, I've talked with Carolyn. There's too many desks in there because we're thinking about repurposing it. We have to leave a section for Spencer, the assessor, for when he is here. But we're thinking about getting rid of the extra desks in there and making it more of another smaller meeting space, like when Shelley needs to have a private conversation with somebody about their taxes. Or Carolyn needs to have a long drawn out, pulling out plans, permit conversation. Just another, Sharon needs to use it for something. We're just limited on space, so we're thinking that's the direction we'd like to go. If you guys feel that's appropriate.
You work here full time.
I know.
You tell me
but
what you need, we're here to support you.
I guess where I'm going
so,
with this is there's 2 desks in there that gotta go.
Okay.
I've checked with rec, I've checked with the library, I've checked with the fire department, I've checked with Public Works. Nobody wants them, has any use for them, they're old metal desks.
Is the fire department doing their auction this year?
No, they haven't done that in years. So I don't know if we should just junk them. I don't know. I do have one person that's interested in them for barn desk. Do you care? Does anybody care what happens?
Unfortunately, those desks cost an absolute arm and leg when you wanna go buy them new, but to try to get rid of used ones, it's almost impossible, so.
I know.
If someone gets some use out of them, I would say thank you very much.
Well, that's kind of what
Just
I'm
me.
thinking, but I didn't want to get rid of anything without
There's sentimental value.
putting it out there. Like if somebody sees me moving a desk out the back door on a Sunday afternoon, Wendy's not stealing the desk.
The only thing I would ask is
And the select board would get a call.
if there's some other department in the town that might need a desk.
And I
before we
did,
go,
I reached out to them all,
Alright, then, yeah,
so nobody cares. Okay,
dispose as you see appropriate.
okay, thank you.
Hopefully they go to a good home.
Cause Nick, is on vacation next week and he said anything I got to keep the guys busy, I can get them to move some desks.
There you go.
So, that was the last thing I had, was just the furniture in that room. That's it.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Sharon,
Okay, I have a long list.
that's it.
So, transfer station. The project has begun.
Yes.
Rights are in there, they are already to the bottom of the slide and cutting trees like nobody's business. So that project is on the move.
Excellent.
Airport update, so the bids are out for the airport project. We had a pre-bid meeting on Wednesday. We had 5 interested qualified candidates, which was really impressive considering how late we are in the bidding season. So we're very hopeful that on May 3rd, when we get the bids in, that we'll have good bids and can finance this whole project. Once that happens, there are some permits that need to be, have co-applicants. So those permits will be gotten, and we expect that probably, due to the lateness of the bidding, that probably those projects won't start until September or October for the airport. So it'll be partially this year and then next year and be completed by next fall. So that's what we know about that. There is a grant update that's on in front of each of you. We are up $2 million of what we have been approved since January. We're also up $1 million actually we're up $2.5 million up that are pending. We have put in for the recreational trail grant for a pavilion. I got noticed this week that we've been approved at the state level. They're gonna put it up to the feds, and that would give us 50 grand for a new pavilion. I've put in for a stormwater grant for a plan for the transfer station, so we can try to figure out how to keep that site in one piece. So that's gone through FEMA. V-Trans, we put in 2 grants, one for paving we put in for $85,000. We didn't put in much. That $85,000 equals a half a mile of road at an 1.5-inch shim, or 3/4 inch shim and an 1.5-inch overlay. So that tells you how expensive paving is. So we just put that in because V-Trans has already told us that it's unlikely we'll get that, but to put something in so that we have a placeholder in the system in case someone doesn't use their grant. So that's what we've done. In front of you, you have a paper to sign. That's for the grants and aid from V-Trans. What happens with that is they basically divide up the state and they prioritize it and give you money based on what you have gotten this last several years. So they are giving the town of Highgate $12,200 with a local match of $3,050. Total project cost $15,250. And that's for culverts, turnouts, grass and stone ditching, lowering high shoulders, gully erosion. So it's to help in getting our erosion inventory more complete. That needs to be finished. So I would need a motion and a signature for that.
Can I get a motion for the town to participate in the grants and aid program?
Make that motion.
Second.
All those just say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we have also put in for a grant for, a capital grant for the library, which I neglected to put on your grant list, for $1.5 million. We are in a good position to capitalize on that because our plans for the library are already finished from the work we had already done with the Village Core Master Plan. If we were to get that grant in total, you would have enough money to build a new library. So we'll see what happens. We won't hear about that until summer. The Memorial Day Committee is asking if the select board members would all be in the Memorial Day parade.
Walking, driving, throwing candy, what do you want us doing?
We don't care.
Okay.
We just would like you all in it. Instead of 3 men riding and 2 women working the parade.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, all right, everybody be able to make it for Memorial Day?
Should.
I think I'm here.
Are we gonna make a float? Yeah, we'll talk more about it, we'll come on, we'll
Right on my
be
back.
participating.
You can use old metal desk.
Ride on an old metal desk.
Pretend you're working, Kyle.
We'll have a desk race.
So, talking about Memorial Day, I have sent a email to the health department to verify what we need to do for the Memorial Day barbecue so we don't get shut down while we're trying to serve people. So, and I have sent in our form for our food vendor application.
Thank you.
So, we'll see what we have to do to get that, but we don't need to be in a drama the day of.
One question on that, the bake sale folks, are they in on getting the permit or whatever they need?
I put down Memorial Day bake sale. I put Sue's name on it, on the application, so that at least we have shown that we've done that part.
Okay.
I have a request from the planning and the DRB to change our bylaws to deny permits if you already have one that's outstanding that does not meet, that you have not met your conditions of the permit within 180 days. So if you have a permit that you haven't met the conditions on and you come to the board and ask for another one, you're going to be denied. The reason they're asking is because frankly we have very little enforcement. You don't have a lot of leverage. So one of the ways to get that leverage is to say, okay, you need to comply without having to have the extra manpower, the police involved and the lawyers involved. This is one way you can achieve that.
So they can, if they comply, then they can resubmit
Yeah,
for the next permit.
sure. But it keeps people a little more honest. The honest ones, it won't make any difference. But those that are a little sneaky sometimes have to get a little slap, you know.
Yeah, we had one that's been a few years and we sent them letters and lawyer letters and still.
So they're asking if, and we talked about this at planning, you know, so it's been brought up to both boards. Would the select board support that? And if you would, we'll put it in with our bylaw zoning changes and it'll be advertised and warned so that the public can have their input. But it's, like I said, it helps with the enforcement of some of this.
You need a motion for that then?
Yes.
Well, any discussion?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, yeah, I'm all for it. So select board's behind that.
Okay, so, all right. Now we have a tricky thing. The Village Core Master Plan program, as part of our deal with Cathedral Square, the pole barn in the back of the lot behind the Macy, former Macy property there, needs to go. So it needs to be torn down and removed. The Village Core Committee motion to recommend to you that we put it out to bid. If somebody will give us something for it and tear it down, fabulous. At one time, the highway department talked about wanting it. I asked Nick what he thought. He thought it was probably it wasn't worth moving, by the time you put the money into it, tearing it down. And we may find that we don't have a bidder either, but at least we would put it out to bid and see if someone would even be interested in taking it for the tear down.
Is there anything being stored in it now?
There is.
That's the problem.
A lot of stuff.
That's what say, there's a lot of stuff in there?
There is. There is the old fire truck.
You need a big building to put that in.
There's couple of tractors in there. There's some of Richard Flint's personal stuff in there.
The generators in there,
Yeah,
the racks, picnic tables, and the park benches for this park go in there.
Can we afford not to put it back up somewhere?
Can you use can you use the garage in front for a while with some of that stuff?
No. I think the only thing that's in there is the utility trailer and the generator that would fit through either of
Those
the
small
doors.
Those doors are too small. What they 6 foot doors, right?
6'6", I think. or
The
6'6".
one that's painted, the one that.
Just that.
Because he, no, or does not want it.
so I mean, we can look further into getting a quote to move that to the sand shed property.
You're talking the one behind the post office?
Yeah, the old tin one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one that has all
Yeah.
the paintings on it, all the art design.
That's a big building.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be that big either. But if you're gonna do that, then we need to figure out where the funds would come from.
And a lot of that building just scattered together in the back part. Because it was part of the fence and he added, put rafters on part of the fencing.
What's the timeline, Sharon, for getting that out of there?
I would say we probably have 8-9 months.
So this year,
And
right?
It
Has
would
to
be
be
nice.
this year.
at the end.
The fire truck that's in there, that was, which truck was that?
Is that the
was put in
Sorcy's, the one
Yeah,
that's,
that's
Yeah.
just horses.
they use it
The one
for parades,
Historically.
right?
It's still drivable.
Yeah.
It's probably still drivable, it's probably got flat
It is.
tires.
I think they use
Yeah,
it for
it's-
parades,
The
don't
parade, yeah.
Oh, the one that
Danny had.
Engine two.
Danny had and Marshall
Yeah.
Kloof had, and then
Yes.
that's where she's parked, okay.
Yeah.
So the question is, where do we get funds for this? And where are we putting it?
Well, what are we gonna do with it? Do we wanna put it out to bid? If we don't, and we think we need the space, where are we gonna put it, and how are we gonna pay for it?
That's the tough part.
So I
think-
don't need an answer
I
tonight.
don't think there's any reason why we can't put it out to bid and just see if someone would give us something for it, or just take it. And then we'd have to figure out what to do with all the stuff that's under it.
But you're also saying we could take it and move it down to where the property where the leach field is?
I wasn't thinking there, I was thinking over by the sand shed.
Oh, the sand shed.
Yeah, I'm talking about chance, so
Yeah, yeah, across the road from the sand shed.
I mean, my thoughts is if it's a good building and we can reconstruct it, keep it, we're always in need of space.
Yeah, cause you got a fairly new overhead door in it.
Yeah.
Right. Can we maybe get an idea of where we could, a drawing of where we could put it out, or relocate it over there?
Yep.
And maybe some possible uses for it, like maybe for, animal control, kennel, something like that.
Right. Okay. Alright.
get us a grant, Sherry, get us a grant.
Free money.
Yeah, free money.
Another thing with the village core is, as part of that and as part of the airport project, we need to produce a sewer and water board. Do you want to be the sewer and water board, like you are the liquor control board? Or would you rather ask the village core members to be a water sewer board? Or would you prefer to ask for volunteers?
Not me.
Be good to us. Be good to us.
What does that entail?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, to start with, it's not gonna be much, we're gonna have to have, you know, bylaws, fees, all of that drawn up. Then the water and sewer board just makes decisions based on that. We have X amount of capacity, we have Y amount of people that wanna hook up. This is how you hook up, this is what it's gonna cost you. This is what's gonna happen if you don't pay your bill.
How much will this board be involved in the project to get water and sewer to the village for?
I guess it depends on who it is. I could certainly involve you all you would like, Ty.
Ty just said he'd be the chair.
Thank you for volunteering, Ty.
He just volunteered to be the chair.
How many position is it expected to be?
It could be three.
Okay.
To me, I'd like to see us put it out, see if we can get somebody to volunteer, like that's gonna work. If not, I can't see the board putting it on another committee.
Right.
I don't think that's right.
Is every decision that board would make gonna have to go to these guys anyway?
Exactly.
Why
I
not?
guess it depends on,
You know, like everything village core does, you bring it to them, everything planning does, you
Right.
bring it to them, so.
It's gonna be us anyhow.
right.
Yeah.
It really is.
How are other towns doing it?
Some have separate boards, some have a select board that does it, it just depends on.
We got nothing to do.
Yeah, we,
Yeah, I don't know if you have enough time to do,
I put it out for volunteers first and we'll go from there. That's what my suggestion would be.
alright.
is anybody on the DRB or any of the other committees like VCMP have interest in doing it?
Woody said yes.
I said no.
No,
Two boards.
that's the way this is. So Woody does this, it's mean yes.
No.
No.
Okay, the last thing I have, no, I have two things. I would like to have a motion to allow me to sign the loan amendment for our step 2, wastewater grant. We've been approved for $118,300. We can get 125 and we need it. So I'm asking for permission to sign the amendment to put us up to as much as we can get.
I make that
That's
motion.
fully funded.
I'll second it.
All those who say aye?
Aye.
Okay, and the last thing I have is 28 Mill Hill. We are now up to 128.2 for liens against the property.
Are those liens still in effect
They are.
after what they've done recently?
I have not, have they cleaned up more?
Oh, they
Yeah, they were there this
cleaned up a lot.
weekend.
They
Yeah.
were there this weekend and they took a lot of stuff out. That's
They
what I
did,
was-
they were
Okay.
there quite often.
So I will double check that tomorrow, I'll go over and find out. So yes. Alright. I have not heard anything back about the bank. I was sure to tell our lawyer to make sure that the bank was aware that there's no water.
Did you know that?
Yes, they have been notified by our lawyer that there is no water supply over there. So,
Did we figure out?
We think.
Sharon, just by that, if
Concern.
you talk to us about the village court, probably people needs to hear exactly what happened with the water over there.
well, we don't know exactly what happened, but somewhere along the line, line that goes between the municipal building and the library was tapped, without any official notice. So that house have been getting town water for some time.
Years.
I
Many
would say
years.
probably close to 50 years. So when Richard Flint and I went to look for the water, there was no spring, no well. The downstairs was supposedly finished off, so there's no point system, you know, in the cellar.
Well, yeah.
But there was a shut off found outside. So yes, it had been getting water from the town for some time, without permission.
It's not the deed to have the town water.
We just found out this week.
No.
Could have been a handshake deal back in the day.
Back in the
I
day,
expect,
the little
yes.
boys,
I
it was,
expect that.
Just a little bit of water.
hey, I need some water, and hey, can I, here's a shovel, let's go.
The probably the house might end with a handshake at one point.
More than likely.
Yes, they probably
We
did.
just discovered this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, I did go back through and check the deeds and tried to follow it back, and yes, there's no, yeah, no agreement, no lease, no, yeah.
They say you don't know where the sewer is.
Yep, so, well, that could be too, you know.
That could be true.
Oh, one last thing. Fire department, did contact me. They need to have, a part for their dry hydrant at the frog pond. So that was part of their water issue.
On the big barn fire?
So Ralph is all over it. So I'm just letting you know as an update.
What was the issue down, East Highgate, why they couldn't get water out of there?
I'm not sure.
Raleig's Pond or the river?
The river.
I don't know about the river. Raleig's Pond is all grown in, it's all.
Yeah.
The river, I don't know.
But I know we have tried to go through and try to get a better maintenance schedule on this, cause
Yeah.
it's vital.
That's being worked on, the dry hydrants. Supposed to be regularly maintained every, I don't believe that's been happening, but working with them to get on a schedule to both back flush and maintain them. I know Raleigh's Pond, we talked about it a couple years ago, we talked about getting a long reach excavator to get in that pond out. Cause it's filled in with, we thought it was, Eurasian milfoil or something, and it's a native species, it's not a milfoil or something, and we can dig it out, however, Petro was supposed to get back in touch with us and never did, and it just. Raleigh's Pond.
Oh, Raleigh.
Raleigh, yeah. The one you folks use when the rink burn.
Yeah.
That's what practice was.
Sharon, one question that has been brought to my attention so many times was the house in the park. They're asking $129,000 for the house. It's up to $128,000. I just wish the bank would get moving and get it settled, because people are really getting tired of it. I mean, the old Highgate, let's just give it to us and say it's over with.
It's out of our hands.
I know it's out of your hands, but I'm hearing it so much.
We hear it, but
Oh, we hear it too, ma'am. We hear it too.
I know you do. It's
And
just.
we're as frustrated as you are, but the bank, it's in the bank's hands, and
Oh,
when
I
they,
know. And the banks don't care. And the banks don't care.
What bank is it?
it's a Texas bank.
Yeah, it's
Out of
out of
state bank.
Texas, so I
Oh,
don't have
Texas
it
Bank,
else.
okay, that was one of my questions.
Out of
too.
sight, out of mind.
Okay, it's Texas Bank, okay, that answers some questions.
Okay, so that's it for me. Into executive, Don Densmore is here, to speak with you. And 3 members of the rec board are here to speak to you in executive. Jess? Jess, unmute yourself. There, yes. So would you like to be in on the conversation with the rec board?
Sure.
Okay, so I would have you stay on and the meeting will end for the rest of you that are online.
Thank you.
Who else was on there, Sharon?
Shane Garrity,
Okay.
Jess, Ben Bombard, and Kimberly's iPhone. Which,
Funny last name.
yep,
Wow. All right, so you're all set? Sure.
I am all set.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Sorry, we're on tail. I'm sorry. Just kidding. I know you're in a hurry. Dan, you got anything? Kyle? Would you like to make a motion, Kyle?
No, I don't.
Would somebody like to make a motion to come out of the, or end the regular meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those who say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. All right.